Hi, today I'm just going to do a little program called Medicine Test. This would be similar maybe to a grade 10 type exam question. So first of all, I'm going to shift this Word document to the left of the screen. I click the Windows key and the left arrow, and then I can choose what I want to display on the right. And on the right, I want to put Apache NetBeans. I'm working in NetBeans 12. So let's just organize the screen a little bit better. Shift the Word document right over to the left and give ourselves a lot of space in our NetBeans. Okay, let's read the question. Code a program called Medicine Test. So we're going to start a new class. I click on the orange block with the green plus. I choose Java with Ant, Java application, click Next, and I'm going to type the name of my program, Medicine Test. I save it in NetBeans projects, but if you're trying this, maybe you should make a grade 10 IT folder and a Java folder. Remember to keep your folders neat and tidy and to have lots of folders. It helps you find your work when you need it. Let's click Finish. And here is our new class. We're going to remove the comments here. And we're ready to start coding. Number 2, input and store the name of a medicine sample being tested. Number 2 also said, number 3, input and store the initial amount of DNA, final amount of DNA, and time taken for the test. And then number 4, calculate the rating. I'm reading those questions to see what variables we're going to need. It's a good idea to declare all your variables at the start of your code to keep things neat and tidy. So I'm going to go string name, or maybe we should say med name. Remember to keep your names of your variables descriptive. We're going to have whole numbers for the 2 DNAs and the time. So int, I'm going to call it initial DNA, and then final DNA, and time. Let's just say time, that will be fine. And then the fourth question said, calculate the rating of the medicine as a real number. So we're going to need a double for that, double rating. Now we're ready to start doing our input. We might declare more variables later as we code. So input and store the name of a medicine sample being tested. So we're going to say med name equals jobs.pane.show input dialog. I hope you've coded all your shortcuts. Mine is, if I click the Alt and the F3 key together, I get jobs.pane.show input dialog typed out. And I've got a video about how to do shortcuts. Please go and find that and set them up for yourselves. So input medicine name, and we'll do our semicolon. Then input and store the initial amount of DNA. So initial DNA equals, I've got a shortcut for integer.parseInt. I put my brackets. Then I do my shortcut for jobs.pane.show input dialog. Input initial DNA, semicolon. I'll need, I've got all these light bulbs popping up here. These ones at the top I can ignore, they're just warnings. But when it's got a red exclamation mark, it means there's a problem, which I need to sort out. If I hover there, it tells me it cannot find symbol variable jobs.pane. That is because I need to do an import for the jobs.pane class. And the easiest way to do that, click the Control key, the Shift key, and I. Control, Shift, I. And can you see a new line of code was added here, import java x.swing.jobs.pane, and the exclamation marks have gone away. So the import was done for me automatically by typing Control, Shift, I. Let's input the final DNA equals integer.parseInt, jobs.pane.show input dialog, input final DNA, semicolon, and then the time. Integer.parseInt, brackets, and jobs.pane.show input dialog. You could do one big shortcut for, instead of having to click two for in integer.parseInt, jobs.pane.show input dialog. Okay, I need to fix that. And here, input, what was it? Time taken to run test. semicolon, and we've done all our input. Then, number 4, calculate the rating of the medicine as a real number. To calculate it, do the following. Subtract the final amount of DNA from the initial amount of DNA and divide the answer by the time taken to run the test. So we're going to say rating equals, subtract the final amount from the initial amount. So we need to say initial amount first. Initial DNA minus final DNA. And then we need to divide this answer by the time. So I'll have to put brackets around it, like that, so that I can divide that answer, slash is divide by, and divide by time. And what have I done here? Initial, oops, I've misspelled it. There you go. So that looks hunky-dory. Everybody looks happy, but this is not going to give me a good answer because I am dividing an integer at the top, because an integer minus an integer will give me an integer answer. And I'm dividing an integer by another integer at the bottom. Problem. Say the integers, this at the top gives me 3 as an answer and the time is 4. I'll be saying 3 divided by 4 will give me an integer answer, which is 0. It won't be 0.75. And that is not good. I'll be losing a whole lot of detail. It'll get an incorrect answer. I've got to convert the top to a real number. To do that, I do what is called casting. Put a bracket, double brackets, and that converts this to a real number, which is a double, and then divide by time, and my answer will be a real number, and that will work fine. Number 5 says, add code to repeat steps 3 and 4 3 times. So where are steps 3 and 4? 3 was the input of the 2 DNAs and the time. So this is step 3, and this is step 4. So all of that I've highlighted now in blue, I want to repeat that 3 times. So I need to put a for loop on top of it. Okay, I'm going to do, and my for loop will go around. There's my block of number 3 and 4 is included in these curly brackets now. I need to put the for loop above this top curly bracket. So you know the shortcut for a for loop, FOR tab. Okay, we've already got the curly brackets. I'm going to delete these curly brackets. All right, and there's my for loop. With this for loop, remember this is a standard for loop. It's made to count 10 times. I've been told to repeat it only 3 times. This one starts at 0. It ends when I is less than 10, which is going to end at 9. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is 10 times. So if I want 3 times, I need to replace the 10 by a 3. And that will repeat my for loop 3 times. Now that's number 5 done. Number 6, calculate the average rating for the 3 inputs of DNAs and time. That's after the for loop. I need to calculate the average. So first of all, I'm going to go and add the declaration for average at the top. I like putting all my declarations of variables at the top. And now I can go and calculate the average. So I'm going to say average. Oh, sorry, not ready to do that yet. We also need a variable called total. We're going to have to keep a total of all 3 ratings inside the for loop so that we can divide the total by 3 after the for loop. And I will need to set the total equal to 0 before the for loop starts. Every time I go around the for loop, I'm going to say total equals total plus rating. That's just after I've calculated my rating inside the for loop. I will say total equals total plus that very new rating I've just calculated. And can you see that's like a running total? Every time the loop repeats, I'll be inputting a new initial DNA, a final DNA, a time, working out a new rating, and then I will add that rating to the current total, which is keeping a running total of all the ratings that have been calculated so far. So those 3 ratings will be added into this total. And while we're here, can you see that my indentation doesn't look very nice? I like my for loops to be really shifted across so they look nice. Best way to indent automatically, just click Alt, Shift, F, and look how much prettier that looks. You see that you can see exactly what lines belong inside the for loop. Indentation is very important. You can even lose marks in your pat when you don't indent. So remember the shortcut, Alt, Shift, F. Now average is equal to total. We have got 3 ratings added in, so we just need to divide by 3. Our total is a real number. Our average is a real number, so total divided by 3 will give us a correct answer. We don't have to worry about integer division here. Let's do number 7. Round the average rating to 3 decimal places. So to round to the 3 decimal places, we're going to multiply average by 1,000, round it, and then divide by 1,000 again. Let's do that. So we'll say average times 1,000. We'll put brackets around that, and then we'll say math.round of average times 1,000. That will round off to no decimal places, but we've multiplied by 1,000, so we've kept 3 decimal places actually. All we have to do now is divide by 1,000 again. The only thing is, if we do this, we've actually got integer division going on again. All right, so that's not good. The reason I know that is if you go right click, I won't do it now, if you go show Java doc, you can actually go and look at how math.round works. You can go and look at the API documents for it. So math.round actually returns a long, which is also a type of integer. So we're dividing an integer by an integer, and that's going to give us an integer answer, which is a problem. To prevent that, we can just say 1,000.0. Okay, or we could we could say put bracket, double bracket in front. Either way, you'll get the right answer. So we have now rounded our average to 3 decimal places. All we have to do is number 8, display the name and average rating of the medicine tested. So SOUT tab gives me system.out.println. I'm going to print med name, the name of the medicine, plus, I put a space, has a rating of space, plus, and we need to display the average. And that's it. Now this should work. Let's run it. Shift F6. See what results we get. Let's input bionzonate as we did as the question said. We'll just input some random numbers here. I don't know what DNAs are like. I'm just typing in anything. And you see that every time I work out a rating, I'm printing it. Let's type for like that. I'm typing in numbers that I always type in a bigger initial amount than final amount. So I've got 3 ratings over here, and I've got the average, which is 51.971. You can see it's rounded off to 3 decimal places as was requested. And that's all for today. And thanks for watching. See you next time.